Have Liverpool signed a Karim Benzema regen in Hugo Ekitike? That performance against Bournemouth was nothing short of phenomenal. Watching him play was exactly like watching Karim Benzema play, and I'm not surprised in his post-match interview that he mentioned two footballers, Neymar and Karim Benzema, as players that he definitely sees his game being like. He dropped deep when he needed to and linked up play with his teammates. He got in behind the defense when he needed to, right on the shoulders of the defense, and it was a phenomenal performance overall. He deserved that player of the match with the one goal he got and the one assist. In this video, I'm going to look at his individual performance against Bournemouth, what we learned from that performance in general from Liverpool, especially from a defensive point of view that Arne Slot needs to fix, and also some notable performances for Bournemouth. Stick around because you're going to definitely learn some things that Arne Slot also needs to fix in this Liverpool team. Let's first break down Hugo Ekitike's performance. This was as soon as the match started, and look at where he is in this position. He's come deep towards that left half space where he feels comfortable. He allows himself to be an option for Cody Gakpo to find him. He has good enough space, so he runs towards goal and finds a shot. It wasn't a strong shot, but it showed something that was going to be continuous in this game and how much Hugo Ekitike loves to drift towards that left hand side. In the next screenshot, you see Virgil van Dijk in the build-up play trying to look for that vertical pass that we saw him play so often last season. He finds a brilliant pass to Hugo Ekitike, who's come very deep towards that halfway line just so he can get that ball moving forward for Liverpool. He takes an excellent touch which finds Florian Wirtz in space, and then Hugo Ekitike doesn't just stop after the touch, he makes the run again so that Florian Wirtz can find him. He ends up finding Cody Gakpo towards that left hand side, but you can already see the difference between having a technical forward like Hugo Ekitike as compared to when Liverpool had Darwin Núñez. The ball would have been lost in the midfield, Liverpool would have been having to defend so many more transitions, but just because Hugo Ekitike is so smart with his flicks, so smart with his touches, he can come deep and really link up that play and move the ball forward with Liverpool. And the more important thing is that he doesn't just stop after he's done his touch, he continues moving forward alongside the attack. In the next screenshot, again, the ball comes to Hugo Ekitike. He turns on it onto his rifle and he gets that ball out wide to Mohamed Salah. But you're noticing he's coming towards the halfway line. He's dropping deep like a Roberto Firmino would, like a Karim Benzema would, and then he's finding great passes into the wide areas, into his teammates' pathway, and he's finding them really where they get the ball and they're 1v1 against their markers. Just look at that position Salah is finding the ball in now. He's 1v1 against Truffert on that left hand side. And then the next screenshot, you see how hungry he is inside the box. Jeremy Frimpong plays a brilliant cross into the box, but you can see from the starting position that Hugo Ekitike was behind the ball, but he's so hungry to get that ball inside the box to make sure he's in front of his man. He gets a touch on it in the end, it hits off Ekitike and goes out wide and gives Liverpool a corner to attack from. The next screenshot is from a corner kick. The ball gets played out and you see Hugo Ekitike is already there. He's hungry. He's fighting Ekitike for that ball. He ends up winning it. He plays the ball to Salah, but like I said, he doesn't just stop there. He continues making a run. Salah plays the ball back into him, and somehow in the first game of the season, so early on in the game, we have probably seen the worst refereeing decision in the Premier League this season already, and this time against Liverpool. Senesi clearly moves his hands towards the ball, and if he doesn't do that little basketball touch that he does, Hugo Ekitike is through on goal, and you already know he is 1v1 with the keeper because Senesi is not catching him. It should have been given as a denial of a goal scoring opportunity. It should have been a red card, and Liverpool would have cruised that game if the red card was given like it should have. But then again, forget about that. Let's talk about his goal. And this was an absolutely special moment from Hugo Ekitike. He comes deep, plays the ball to McAllister, but look at the initiative of his play. He understands that he's dragged that midfielder out of position. He runs into the space. McAllister plays into him. He takes a good first touch. He gets a ricochet off the defender where the ball bounces straight back into him. And he really deserves that ricochet. It reminded me of what Luis Suarez used to do during his days. Then he's 1v1 with the keeper. He stops. He lets the keeper dive first. He knows exactly where he wants to slot the ball. He does it with composure, with confidence. It was an excellent finish, an absolutely brilliant finish, and something that Liverpool strikers last season would have snatched at and would not have finished off, making it 1-0 to Liverpool. And then you have the second goal as well. Look at his awareness. Kerkez has the ball. Hugo Ekitike understands there's space in behind that left-hand side. Like I said, he loves drifting towards that left-hand side. side. He holds the ball up so well. He has a great chemistry with Cody Gakpo, and Gakpo understands straight away that he needs to cut inside. Ekitike finds him. Gakpo takes 2 or 3 touches and then buries it into the bottom of the net. It was an absolutely brilliant goal again. Ekitike has his goal, he has his assist, and you can really start to see the quality of this player shine through. I said it months ago that Hugo Ekitike is the perfect Liverpool and Arne Slot striker, and he is already showing it. You pay the big money for the players to come in and do the job straight away, and that is exactly what Hugo Ekitike is doing right now at Liverpool. The next screenshot I'm only putting in just to show that this guy is an absolute beast in the air as well. Not only was he defending set pieces really well for Liverpool, but Cody Gakpo puts in a cross, and look how high his jump is, his leap. No defender is absolutely near him with how strong his jump is. He gets his header on it, but if there's one thing I've noticed in these 2 games, he can definitely improve on his heading technique. He was all over the place because he could have really made this an opportunity to score, but because his technique was all over the place, and I saw it against Crystal Palace as well, it's definitely a part of the game where I need to see Hugo Ekitike make improvements game in, game out. Let's now go through the issues that Arne Slot needs to fix. I have both teams on the pitch here. This is exactly the Liverpool lineup, and the Bournemouth team is exactly in the formation I believe they were playing for the majority of the game. Now, Liverpool, what was their biggest issue in this game? It has to be rest defense. It has to be out wide in these positions here where the right back is and where the left back is, and there was massive problems. Don't get me wrong, Frimpong was pushed up, and I thought Frimpong actually had a decent game. He made some good recoveries. He was on to David Brooks whenever he could, and in general, I genuinely think Frimpong, in terms of a defensive point of view, was actually good. In an offensive point of view, though, I need to see more from him. The problem that Liverpool get, like I said in my previous video, is that when Frimpong pushes up and Mohamed Salah is in this position here, I need Frimpong to underlap him in this central position at times so that Salah can play that ball into him, into the middle of the pitch, and now Frimpong can move into that centre and not take up that position that Salah takes up. Because when Frimpong moves forward and takes up this position, Salah has to come inside, and the problem with that is you get this second defender who's following Frimpong, and now Salah is getting double and triple teamed, and it's very difficult for Salah to then find that separation he needs to be able to play the cross that you need him to play. But in terms of the rest defense, it was like Konate, Van Dijk and Kerkez were 3 at the back, with McAllister playing the deepest role and Szoboszlai as well. But what was going on at times was Frimpong is of course pushed up and Semenyo is following him. But what's happening is that when McAllister is playing this ball to Wirtz or he's playing it to Szoboszlai, Liverpool were taking quite a few opportunities in the middle of this pitch, playing passes that they didn't need to play. And I think Florian Wirtz on his side, he still has a bit of adjusting to do to the Premier League's intensity. You could see that he was playing a bit nonchalantly, like he was in the Bundesliga where he gets space, but there was moments where they were getting tight onto him, he would lose the ball, and then suddenly Liverpool's defense was a bit all over the place because Kerkez is thinking about pushing up, which then leaves Van Dijk and Konate alone. In my opinion, in the first half, it was fine, just because Kerkez has brilliant recovery pace. One thing, though, about Milos Kerkez that I definitely noticed is he goes to ground way too easily. He loves a slide tackle when he doesn't even need to do it. He got a yellow card because of a stupid challenge on that left-hand side. And don't get me wrong, he had a very good battle with Semenyo, because what Bournemouth were trying to do quite smartly is, because of Kerkez's height, they were getting the goalkeeper to kick it towards Semenyo, and Semenyo wins that aerial battle. They would win these second balls and they would be able to push up. Kerkez was actually giving him a really good battle, but there were so many moments where he would slide and that opens up this space for Semenyo to run into, and Kerkez is behind him, so he can't catch up, and it was a massive problem for Liverpool. So if there's one thing I really need to coach out of Kerkez's game, is sliding for no reason. Only slide when you need to. Keep your upright position, go side, stay in front of the defender, the attacker. That is something that I really need to see Kerkez do more often. But basically what was okay in the first half was that Frimpong and Kerkez had great recovery pace to get back into position so that Brooks and Semenyo couldn't really cause too much damage on the counter-attack. They had 1 or 2 moments, of course, every team does in a game, but it wasn't dangerous enough that would make Alisson worried. What happened in the second half, though, and one thing that I did not like from Arne Slot, was that Jeremy Frimpong came off. Fair enough, he had a hamstring tightness. He needed to come off. But when he comes off, for some reason, Arne Slot puts Endo at right back. And at the same time, he takes off Milos Kerkez, who's probably a little bit more disciplined than Robertson with his positioning defensively and more athletic to have recovery pace. But he puts on Robertson, which is a fair change to make. But then what happens is that the rest defense is Konate, Van Dijk and Robertson. But Robertson as a left centre-back's positioning was all over the place. And if you watch the goal that Semenyo scores on the first one, it was so weird that Robertson was in this position here, Konate was in this position here, but the attackers were ahead of these two players. So what happens is Szoboszlai, who was on this side of the pitch, tries to do a flick towards Wirtz, but he loses the ball because the flick was not on and it was a stupid pass to play. But as soon as the ball comes here, they have this easy out ball to the left winger, which was David Brooks on this left-hand side. The ball goes played into that left space and Konate is now catching his man. But he's already too late and Wataru Endo has no recovery pace to be able to cover that right-hand side. And as soon as Wataru Endo came on that right-back position, our build-up play was non-existent. Our play defensively was non-existent because Endo had no recovery pace. And at that point, it was all over the gaff. It was getting worrying. And then Brooks gets the ball here. He plays a brilliant cross into Semenyo, who's already ahead of Robertson, and it becomes 2-1. So now you're already thinking this is becoming troublesome. So what do Liverpool need to do next? Well, what happens, which is an issue, is that Bournemouth actually make it 2-2. And now you're really worried because Semenyo is here. And Robertson was pushed up, Endo was pushed up, Szoboszlai, McAllister, everyone was pushed up. Salah plays the ball to Szoboszlai, who isn't able to make it at the edge of the box. But the ball comes to Semenyo around here. And you have Van Dijk and Konate. You had a couple of Bournemouth attackers just alongside Semenyo trying to attack Liverpool. But what is the biggest problem here is it was a 4-on-2 with Semenyo on the ball. And there was one Bournemouth player on his right side and a couple on his left-hand side. And when the ball gets to the edge of the box, Van Dijk and Konate continue to retreat. And I don't like that at all, that they continue to retreat, because what happens is that now it's a 4-on-2 and Liverpool are chasing the ball. But when you get closer to the goal now, it becomes very, very difficult to defend, especially with Konate not going after Semenyo. And Konate, for some reason, he's worried about these two players here. So no one actually goes for Semenyo. He cuts in on his left one, he smashes it into the bottom corner. It's now 2-2, and I'm thinking this is major, major trouble, because what's going to happen is Bournemouth are on top, they're going to score a third, and Liverpool could lose the opening game, which is a massive, massive worry if they did lose the opening game. But Arne Slot fixed his own mistake. He moved Wataru Endo into midfield, He took off McAllister and came on Joe Gomez, who moved to right back, and then you had Endo in that midfield. And at the same time, he also took off Hugo Ekitike and brought on Curtis Jones into the midfield. Now what you had was Florian Wirtz was the left winger, slash attacker. Cody Gakpo was the striker, but then you had Curtis Jones in this midfield, who I thought actually came on done well, kept the ball well for Liverpool, had great ball retention in that midfield, made sure we didn't lose the ball often so that we couldn't get attacked on the transitions. But what was very important was that Gomez was the right back, and I thought he was absolutely brilliant when he came on. He did not put a foot wrong. He brought great balance to this Liverpool team, and thank God he was available on the bench, because that Endo experiment at right back, Arne Slot, I don't want to see that again, because that was a big, big mistake, and it really could have gave the game up. The interesting thing is that Liverpool now started to get on top again, and Wirtz comes off, and Federico Chiesa comes on, the man that has not been seen. And we see Gakpo go back towards his left-hand side, and Chiesa is in the center of the pitch. And it's so funny because everyone's talking about Chiesa leaving. He should be going back to Italy. He won't be playing for Liverpool again. And one random moment where there's a switch of play with Szoboszlai on this right-hand side, right alongside Salah. You see, we finally got support around Salah. He takes a brilliant back heel to find Salah in this half space. Salah puts in a brilliant cross into the box, which we're so close to getting with a great run in behind. The goalkeeper parries it, and there's two defenders here. They both mix. So Gakpo's made this run, and they've both mixed it up. The ball comes out, and Federico Chiesa is in this position here, and he smashes one into the bottom right corner. It was an absolutely brilliant finish from Federico Chiesa on his right foot, and such a beautiful moment for Federico Chiesa because he's had a tough year. I've always been a fan of him because of how positive he's been in this Liverpool team, and it was a brilliant goal to see. And just to end the game, Liverpool ended up with Mohamed Salah again. A brilliant run in behind this defense. They literally had no one in defense, to be fair, at that point. But it was a fantastic run. And I genuinely feel like this Salah was on fire to try and score a goal. He must have done 30 minutes of meditation before the game to try and get this goal. He ends up with the ball on this left-hand side. He makes a brilliant run ahead of all of these Bournemouth players who are actually closer to the ball than Salah at the time. He cuts in on his right foot and he smacks it into the bottom corner. He gets his goal on the opening day. An emotional goal, an emotional Anfield. It wasn't his best performance. Let's be real. He wasn't involved in the game too much because Liverpool have so many left half space players that it's very difficult to get that ball towards the right hand side. Even Federico Chiesa likes that left side. Gakpo likes that left side. Hugo Ekitike, who was playing earlier, also likes that left hand side. Florian Wirtz likes that left hand side. So it leaves Salah alone at times, which is quite difficult, and Arne Slot needs to fix it because he needs support from Mohamed Salah to really maximize Arne Slot's best player. But it was a very emotional celebration with Salah. He cried after the game, and you could see that the emotions were definitely at him during the game. And I'm going to see that this Liverpool team in general, in terms of its structure, in terms of its rest defense, with a greater chemistry and more training time that Arne Slot gets with this team, I genuinely believe the rest defense will improve. And once Gravenberch comes back, I genuinely believe one of Gravenberch or McAllister must be in the midfield for Liverpool's midfield to work, just because they have better defensive attributes than the rest of the midfielders. As for Bournemouth, all I'm going to say is Antoine Semenyo, take a bow. Absolutely brilliant. He was racially abused in this game, which is absolutely shocking. In the first Premier League game, for there to be racial abuse is a joke. But he was fantastic. Left foot, right foot, unpredictability. That is a player that people should have been splashing 60 to 70 million on because he is someone who has a great shot on him. He works incredibly hard defensively. He's strong in the air. You don't know what way he's going to go. And that is a player who genuinely could have been a massive difference for a team like Arsenal, for a team like Man United, and even Liverpool could have done with a player like Antoine Semenyo. I thought David Brooks was excellent down that left-hand side. He put in a couple of brilliant crosses. It was nice to see Alex Scott back on the pitch again. But one thing that Iraola definitely needs to work on is that Diakite and Senesi backline. Of course, you could tell it was a new backline because there was quite a few mistakes being made in possession from Diakite, who's new to the club. But I genuinely believe that kid is very talented. I hope you guys enjoyed this breakdown of what I believe I saw from the Liverpool vs Bournemouth game. Don't forget to like the video. Drop the comments down below on what you thought of the Liverpool vs Bournemouth game, who you thought was the player of the match, how impressed you are by Hugo Ekitike, and what Arne Slot needs to fix. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the notification bell so you know whenever I upload. Thanks for watching again, guys, and peace.